What we've started to understand is that there are a lot of women that experience this every single day. Now, the spectrum that we're talking about is quite broad, so we're not trying to necessarily say that this is all women that are receiving, aggressive sexual assault, but there are a lot of women in the UK that feel that they're looked at inappropriately or they're treated inappropriately.
Yeah, Martin, unwanted sexual attention can include instances of indecent exposure, that's rather obvious, sexual comments being made, but staring? How do you quantify that?
Well, I think that's the tricky thing. There's been a lot of reaction to this on social media, as you can imagine, particularly from men, because if 85% of women are sexually harassed, then that's a lot of men doing that harassing. And that sort of asks the question, well, it's not a facet that I recognise in British men. I mean, I used to edit Loaded magazine, the lad culture, which is apparently driving this. It just doesn't chime with my own experiences. I think it demonises men and it paints men out to be this kind of endemic problem. Lads are talked about on university campuses as a massive problem. They're like jihadis.
Ella, do you think it's a problem with laddism or something else?
I think these stats really work to blow out of proportion something that I really don't think is a problem. What's already been mentioned, that the kind of questions that get asked in these stats hugely distort what we understand harassment and serious sexual violence to be. The fact that it was unwanted sexual attention just shows that can range from being asked out for a drink to something very much more serious.
But even so, 45% said they've received unwanted physical sexual contact, which is slightly less ambiguous, but still almost half. That's a problem.
And it is a problem that it would be, for me, a problem if one person had unwanted sexual attention. I think the way, it's not about the fact, saying that this doesn't happen. It's the way that we deal with this, and it's not to blow it into such a huge proportion. I actually probably would take issue with these kind of reports because they are very selective in the way that they ask questions, very selective in the audience that they take answers from. And in fact, it just isn't the case that women day to day are oppressed by male sexuality.
Why is it so hard for the world to treat men and women equally?
I think we've grown up in a society that encourages people to look at difference. And so whatever that difference is, whether that's to do with gender or something else, that's what we're going to look for. Now, I personally don't believe that we live in a world in the UK where women are oppressed as much as they are elsewhere in the world. And I think that's really important to remember on a day like today. This is International Women's Day. And I think that it's really important to draw focus to what's happening around us and to pay attention to that.
Martin, could it be slightly more nuanced than that, men and women get paid the same? Yeah. I mean, there could be many other reasons other than gender why they're not.
Yeah, quite often it's poor educational performance. Men now do worse than women. These surveys as well, they compare apples with pears. I mean, for the same job, it's illegal to pay women less. But you can't compare lawyers to bin men. We don't hear cries for equality with mining jobs or binmen jobs. We want more female MPs and more female CEOs, don't we? They're nice jobs.
So, Ella, it begs the question, how do you make this work? Is it positive discrimination? Is it something else?
No, absolutely not. I think it's already been mentioned that there is no, especially in the West, there is no pay gap. If comparing like-for-like work on the same hours, it's just people earn exactly the same.
Is it a misperception then that men and women aren't being paid the same? Is it other things like maternity leave are sort of skewing figures, perhaps?
It's not a misconception. I think it's a deliberate kind of exaggeration of the fact that women will suffer pay inequalities after they've come back to work after having children. That's not necessarily to do with gender. People will, the things that will hold people back is class, wealth and education, not gender. I think what the way of framing this is just why I don't like International Women's Day, because it kind of frames women in this vulnerable light, says that we are put upon, that we need to have positive discrimination and special leg ups, even a special day, and the fact is we don't.
And a lot of people react saying, when's Men's International Day? 19th of November, by the way, worth pointing out. Grace, final word to you?
Well, I just think that what we've learned from all three of us is that empowering women is important, empowering people to make strong choices about the things that they have in their world, and the treatment that they receive is the important part. So I would encourage everybody to try and do that the best way they can.
Thank you all very much indeed. I think we all had an equal say on that, as it happens. Right, that is just about it from us. You can see more about Prince Charles on our website or Facebook page. Search for Channel 5 News there. Sean Welby has the weather next, and Danny is back with updates throughout the evening. Bye for now.